Today I'm going to another place in Southern California, and I put some markers in to make it more efficient and easier to follow. But the first place I'm going to is a home in Sherman Oaks. Address is 14611 Sutton Street, and that would be this home right here. This is the home that James Dean lived in the day, well, he was living in this house the day he died. Now, the date was September 30th, 1955, when James Dean left his home and he went to a place called the Hollywood Ranch Market, which, in perspective to his home, is over in this direction, right here. And it's on the corner of Vine Street and Fountain Avenue in Hollywood. Hollywood Ranch Market used to be in this location here. It's no longer there. If you go down to Street View, you can see that what is there now is an El Pollo Loco, an Office Depot, and some other private businesses back here. But at the time, on the date of September 30th, 1955, when James Dean was there, it was called the Hollywood Ranch Market. And what I'm going to do is show you a photo. Here's James Dean in the car he was killed in. This is just a few hours before he died. That's him here at the driver's seat. This is his Porsche mechanic that he took with him. And off behind him, you can see a ranch market right here. And there's a truck coming out of this intersection. And just behind him, you see another road right here. And if you go back to Google Earth and back up a little, here would be the end of the Hollywood Ranch Market right here. And that little other road would have been right here. So that picture of James Dean, one of his last, he was roughly in this position right here where this white car is when they took that picture of him. Now if you look behind him, there's a station wagon, and this is the station wagon that's pulling the trailer that originally they were going to tow this Porsche on and take it to the races. But the Porsche's engine didn't have a lot of miles or hours on it, so they had to break it in, and they decided to drive it up to Salinas instead of tow it. Now, once he left the ranch market, they were all there. He was there with his friends, and they were getting coffee or whatever else they were getting. He left the ranch market at about 1:15 p.m. with his mechanic in his Porsche with him. And from there, they went to a gas station that was pretty close to his home, which is over here. It was a Mobil station right here on this corner of Beverly Glen and Ventura Boulevard, and it was right here where this empty lot is. There actually was a gas station here back then, and I'm going to go to some photos here, and you can see here he is, and I believe this was the last photo taken of him before he was killed, but here he is at that gas station, a little sports car, the Porsche, and behind him is the station wagon that's pulling the trailer that originally was going to tow the Porsche up there, but they decided to drive it to break the engine in. This is what it looked like the day he was killed. And here's a more recent picture of it before it was torn down, but you can see it here. And that last photo of James Dean, his Porsche would have been parked roughly right in here. And there's the pole, and he would have been standing right there. Back in here is where the station wagon pulling the trailer was. Now, if we go back to Google Earth, I'm going to go down to Street View here. And you can see here, this is where the gas station was. And the picture of James Dean, he would have been standing roughly right about in here where this dirt mound is, of the last picture taken of him before he was killed, roughly in here. Now I want you to see something. I want you to notice this fire hydrant right here, and this palm tree, and also the driveway that used to go into the gas station, and the alignment with this palm tree to the location here. We go back to this photo, you can see here's the palm tree, here's the driveway into the gas station, and there's the fire hydrant. But this palm tree kind of just a little beyond this palm tree, you could see that would have been about the general area where James Dean was when they took that last photo of him. So this palm tree kind of lines up with where he was, and then here in Google Earth you can see just a little bit past it, straight back. So that would have put it roughly right in here is where he was standing. But that's what it looks like now. They're supposed to build a store or a supermarket on there. At the time that Google Earth took these pictures, obviously they haven't. And at the time Google Earth took the pictures from the satellites, you could see that it's still mostly an empty lot with a building going in back here. So this was the location where he stopped the gas up. And he left this area right around 2 o'clock. It was roughly 2 o'clock. Either left it or showed up. Now, a friend of his named Bill Hickman was driving the station wagon that was pulling the trailer. It was a stunt driver friend of his. So they all headed north. I'm not sure which way they went. I know they didn't take the 405 because it did not exist at that time. So they ended up going up through the Grapevine, right through here, heading north towards Bakersfield. And just before Bakersfield, I put another marker in, just a little bit south of a place called Mettler. At 3:30 p.m., James Dean was pulled over by the Highway Patrol, and he was given a ticket for speeding, doing 65 and a 55. Now, I don't know the exact location by Mettler, but I do know it had to be south of Mettler, because after he got his ticket somewhere along this stretch of the 99 right here, and it was the 99, the ticket actually says the 99. After he got his ticket, they got back on and they made a left on Route 166 here at Mettler, and they headed down 166 to Maricopa. They made a right turn at Maricopa, took the 33 a long way, braking in the engine, and they took it to a place called Blackwell's Corner. Now, here at Blackwell's Corner, James Dean had some refreshments, and he met up with a couple of his fellow racers, friends of his. A guy named Lance, I think it's pronounced Reventlow, and a guy named Bruce Kessler. Their plans that they made here at the time was that they were going to drive all the way from here, Blackwell's Corner, to Paso Robles right over here, and they were going to have dinner. But we know that James Dean never made it. So they met here at Blackwell's Corner about 5:15 p.m., and they departed. They said that James Dean took off immediately, going at a high rate of speed, pulled away from the station wagon, and continued on down this route. And it was right here at this intersection where the accident occurred. This is where James Dean was killed, right here at this intersection. He was heading from the east to the west, and there was a car coming up from the west to the east that went to make a left turn onto the 41, didn't see him, hit him. He was hit by a guy named Donald Turnipseed, who was a 23-year-old Cal Poly student. If you get down closer, you can actually look, and you can kind of see over here on this fence, there's a little bit of a memorial here. And a lot of people think that, I think they put the memorial there because they think his car may have come to a stop right here as a result of the accident. But that wouldn't be true. So if we go down to Street View, I'll put it down right here, you can kind of see the little memorial that has been put up for him along this fence right here. Now, back in 1955, this intersection was very different than it is today. Let me exit Street View and explain it. Now, I'm going to show you some pictures. Here's a picture here. You can kind of see the intersection. If you're going toward the picture, that's the direction Donald Turnipseed was going, and he tried to make a left turn here. James Dean was coming toward us on the picture, and he got hit. The car ended up flying over in this direction right over here. Now, if you look real careful, you could see that it's two lanes, that the road is much more narrow here. The only thing that is consistent still is the center of the road. Center of the road hasn't moved. It's still there. But the road has been made wider today than it is here. And this turn right up through here has a slight angle to it right here. Now I'm going to go back here. Now if you look here, you don't see any of that. This transition lane, this westbound transition lane, did not exist at the time. This turn lane over here did not exist at the time. Just kind of had a dirt section and a hard right you'd make. And this turn lane right here did not meet the 46 at a 90-degree angle. And I'll show you from this angle right here. You can kind of see, now we're going the other way. We're going the direction that James Dean was going, and he was struck roughly right in here and tossed over into here. But you can see there's dirt here. The road kind of comes down, meets here. Turnipseed struck him roughly right in here. But you can see there's no turn lane going to the right. So it's very different today than it was back then. Now back here you can see that it's very different, but the one thing I know for certain is that what has not changed, I would say the center of the road. The centers of the road are still there, and you can follow them. Those didn't move. The only thing that had any changes to it was right here at the intersection. Now, here's what I think. Based on the assumption that the center of the road has not changed, and you follow it, and you see this lane right here come down, goes through here and has a slight bend in it as it meets the 46. That would mean that the other lane on the other side back in 1955 did not have this angle in it, but the other lane followed the lane next to it and actually used to come right through here where this dirt patch is and met the 46 roughly right in here with that slight bend in it also, but over on this side. So the old lane, I believe, came through here and stopped right here. And if we look at these photos, I'll show you this one here. You can kind of see where it has that slight bend in it here, and this is the direction Turnip Seed was going. James Dean was coming down this way, got struck roughly in here, and you can see there's a slight turn in it, and you can also see that the lanes are right next to each other and there is no separation between them. So back here at Google Earth, that would mean that this lane here came down through here and matched this lane right here, which means that with the roads being more narrow, that the accident most likely took place right about in here is what I'm guessing, roughly in this area, and that means that James Dean's car would have slid off the road and did slightly, almost cartwheeled, but ended up over in this general area right here, right in this section. Didn't end up way over here where the little memorial is, but it most likely ended up in this dirt patch right about in here. Now back at this picture, you can kind of see this fence line that comes along the road and follows the curvature of the road. And there is the intersection with that slight bend in it. And here on Google Earth, that intersection with the slight bend in it would have come through here, had that slight bend here, which tells me the fence would have come along through here and roughly right in this general area right here. So my guess is that his car came to a stop right about in here, right, almost right in the middle of this dirt patch. That's my opinion. That's what I think. And like I said, based on the assumption that this portion of the road is still pretty much exactly in the same location it was in 1955, then in my calculations and in my opinion, James Dean would have come to a stop right here. He and his mechanic. His mechanic lived, although they were both unconscious. James Dean took the brunt of the hit. The mechanic lived. They were taken to the hospital in Paso Robles. He was pronounced dead. But this right here should be the exact spot, roughly, where the memorial should be, because this most likely is the exact spot where James Dean was actually found dead in his car, or from the car accident, on September 30th, 1955, about 5:45 in the evening. So there you have it. Pretty much the precise death location of James Dean from his horrible car accident from Google Earth.